Hello everyone, myself Amita Mayusuri. Today we are going to study Business Studies Chapter 2, Part 2, Taylor's Techniques of Scientific Management. Part 1 we have already studied we have studied principles of scientific management. So here my first question is, do you know why some people fail in their business and some get immense success? The answer is because some of the successful businessmen always use principles and techniques of management to run their business, which make them understand to take care of very small mistakes which can be ignored and lead to a big failure in future. So, dear student, today we are going to learn some of the technique of scientific management propounded by F.W. Taylor. There are total 6 different techniques of scientific management. The principles of scientific management only bring out the basic philosophy behind the theory. The question which now arises is how to implement these principles practically. Taylor has devised the following techniques for actually implementing the principles of scientific management. Means he has given some of the techniques. If they are going to use these techniques, they can implement or they can apply the principles of scientific management given by the Taylor. The first one is functional foremanship. F.W. Taylor has propounded the functional organization. This form of organization is totally based on the principle of specialization and makes full utilization of the expertise of various experts. Here he said that such organization is totally based on the principle of specialization, means each worker employed is specialized or is expert in doing a small part of the whole work, and second, makes full utilization of the expertise of various experts, means in whichever field the worker is expert, they are given the same work to use their skills and knowledge in an optimum way. In this manner, all the benefits of specialization are availed of. In a functional organization, work is divided into many small parts, and each part is assigned to an expert. Taylor has defined functional organization as follows. So let us see in what way he has defined it. Functional organization consists of so dividing the management that each man from the assistant superintendent shall have as few functions as possible to perform. Means he said that functional organization includes the division of management in such a way that each man will get very few functions to perform in which he is expert. If practicable, if they are going to implement this, the work of each man in the management should be confined, it should be limited. Confined means limited to the performance of a single leading function. Taylor has suggested the division of the work of factory manager into two sub-departments. Means he told that the factory manager's work should be divided into two parts. The first one is planning department and the second one is production department. And again he said that for each department should be appointed 4 experts. The experts in the planning department do planning and the experts in the production department help in production. So the first one we are going to study here, specialist of planning department and their functions. So let us see that how many groups are there in the planning department and what are their functions. So we have already studied that there are 4 expertise in the planning department. The first one is route clerk. This clerk ensures the sequence of completing a particular work, meaning thereby the stages it shall have to pass before finalized. He also decides the job to be done for the day and where it is to be done. Means route clerk is going to give step by step how the work should be completed. Means he is going to give the stages of the work to the workers. Even he also decides the job to be done, what work they are going to do for a day and where it should be done. Second second expertise is instruction card clerk. This clerk prepares the instruction cards for the workers and hands them over to the gang boss. Now gang boss is the leader of the group. These cards contain information about the nature of the work, means the type of the work they are going to do, procedure of doing it, what is the matter that they are going to do, material to be used, which materials they are going to use in the work, and the details about the machineries, that how what type of machineries they have to do the work, and in what way the machines are going to function. These instructions are given by the instruction card clerk to the gang boss. Now third one is time and cost clerk. This clerk decides as to when a particular work is to be started and finished. Means he is going to give the time that when it should be started and at what time it should be completed. It is also decided at the same time at what cost a product will be produced. Means at overall what should be the cost of the production, that he is going to decide. Fourth one is discipline officer. Discipline officer ensures that every work is being performed in a disciplined manner, and everyone knows about what is discipline, right? So these were some of the functions of the experts of the department. Now second, specialist of production department and their function. Now in the production department, who all are there and what are their functions? The first one is the gang boss. The workers are divided into various groups from the point of view of control. Means to control the workers, there should be a leader, and the group leader selected from the group is known as gang boss. He is expected to ensure that both the workers and the machines are fit enough. Means his work is to know that both the workers and the machines are fit enough for the production, and that the material required for their use has been made available to them. So this is the work of gang boss. Now second expert is speed boss. The main function of the speed boss is to ensure that all the workers are performing their job at the required or expected speed. If it is not so, the speed boss tries to find out the cause of slow speed and hence a solution for it. Third one is repair boss. The main function of the repair boss is to keep the machines and tools in working condition. In case if there is any fault in the machines, he will make it repair. Fourth one is inspector. He inspects the things produced and compares their quality with the standard prescribed. Standard prescribed means earlier the manager had already prescribed the quality of goods should be produced. So inspector is going to inspect and compare the goods which are produced by the workers with the standard prescribed for them, and tries to find out the difference. In case of unfavorable results, in case the quality is down, not up to date, then he initiates corrective actions. Now the second technique is standardization of work. Standardization means setting standards for different factors after due deliberation. Deliberation means due discussion. For example, the amount of work to be done by a worker in a day may be standardized. Standardized means some quality should be there in the work. Some standards should be there, some level should be there in their work. In other words, the workers is expected to do the standard amount of work every day. That quality should be maintained. In the same manner, standards may also be set for raw materials, machines and tools, techniques, conditions of work, etc. So, the following is a different description of such standards. Now, let us see what can be the standards we are going to describe. We are going to learn it. First one is standardized material. By standardization of material, we mean that the raw materials provided should be according to the quality of finished goods required. If we want good quality of goods, finished goods, then we need good quality of raw material also. For example, if for producing A quality of finished goods, X quality of raw materials are required, and the same has been determined after due deliberation. Means they, after discussing lot, they determine that for producing A quality of finished goods, it is necessary to have X quality of raw materials. Then after due deliberation, we can say that for A quality of finished goods, X quality of raw materials have been standardized. In the future, whenever it is required to produce A quality of finished goods, X quality of raw materials will be used without any hesitation. By doing so, good quality of finished goods can be produced in the least possible time. Means after deciding this, they will not waste their time to think or discuss that what quality of raw material should be used to produce A quality of goods, because already they have discussed and determined it. Now, second one is standardized machines and tools. Standardization of machines and tools ensures that they are of the required quantity, means how many they needed, and type to produce the desired finished goods. For example, if for producing A quality of finished goods, X machine and M, N and O tools are required, then whenever finished goods of A quality are to be produced, it can be done with the use of X machines and M, N and O tools. Standardization of machines and tools will reduce errors on the part of workers as to which machine or tools are to be used, and hence work can proceed at a much faster pace. Third one is standardized methods. By standardizing the optimum techniques of doing work, means the way, first of all they will find out that which method is more faster, with greater ease, with less cost. So they will find out, and that can be considered as the optimum technique of doing work. So by standardizing the optimum techniques of doing work, it can proceed at a faster pace and with much greater ease. The technique determined to produce doing a particular work is used uniformly whenever such work is performed. Whenever they are going to do the same work, they will be using the same method of doing the work, so that they can do the work in a very faster and greater way. Standardized working conditions. Working conditions have a very deep impact on the efficiency of workers. Means efficiency of workers means ability to do work will increase only if the working condition is good. In standardizing working condition, it is noted that how much temperature, ventilation, lighting, cleanliness and safety is necessary at the workplace. After due studies, the working conditions are standardized and efforts are made to maintain them at the workplace. Now the third technique is simplification. Simplification means putting an end to the unnecessary types, qualities, sizes, weights, etc. For example, it is alright for a shoe manufacturing company to manufacture shoes of 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sizes, but if it starts manufacturing shoes of 0, 0.5, 1, 1.25, 1.5 etc., it will be simply wrong. There is no justification in the difference of such sizes. In such a situation, different types of machines shall have to be installed, more stock have to be maintained, and increased labor costs shall have to be borne. Therefore, it is advisable to manufacture shoes only on the proper sizes. In other words, simplification of the product is the answer. Means the product should be so simple that it will reduce the time allotted, machines or the labor cost. Fourth technique is scientific study of work. It means to conduct the deep analysis of all the activities being performed in the organization with the aim of producing maximum possible quality output at minimum cost. Scientific study of work means that type of work should be done in producing goods which will produce quality good with the minimum cost. So Taylor has conducted the following studies. The first one is matter study, second motion study, third time study, and fourth fatigue study. Let us study each one. First one is matter study. It refers to identify the most suitable way to do a particular activity. Method. To conduct this study, process chart and operation research techniques are used. Means they make the chart that how they are going to do, and they do some research and then they apply that method. The main objective of this study is to minimize the cost of production and maximize the quality and level of consumer satisfaction. Second study is motion study. It refers to conduct the study of motions. Motions means movement from one place to another place. Motions being performed by workers and machines while doing the job. It is said that these motions, like this movement, can waste time and it will lead to delay in doing work. The movie camera is used to conduct this study. Means they find out that which movements are unnecessary to delete it, and to find out this they use a movie camera. The main objective of this study is to eliminate unnecessary motions. For example, during an experiment, it was found that while laying a brick, a mason was conducting 18 different activities, but after eliminating the unnecessary activities, the number of activities could be reduced to 5 and in certain cases even down to 2 activities. Means now with the help of machines and with the help of other workers, the work done by one mason is being reduced. The motions, the movement he was doing is reduced to 2 or less than that. Now time study. It refers to determine the standard time required to complete a particular activity. The standard time is determined on the basis of average time taken by the several experiences of the same work. Means they do the work and they find out that what can be the average time taken for doing the same work. These studies conducted with the help of a stopwatch. The main objective, what is the objective now? The main objective of the study are to get the estimated figure of labor cost, to determine the number of required workers, and to decide about the suitable incentive plan. Fourth one is fatigue study. It refers to determine the duration and frequency of rest intervals to complete a particular job. The rest refreshes the workers. They work again with their full capacity. The main objective of this study is to maintain the efficiency level of workers. There may be so many causes of fatigue such as long working hours, poor working conditions, unsuitable work, unhappy relations with the boss, etc. So, to eliminate all these, they are going to study they will be implementing this study, and they will find out that how much rest should be given to the worker. Now the fifth technique is differential wage system, or it is also known as differential piece rate. Taylor has advised the adoption of differential wage system in order to motivate the employees. Now, how they have motivated the employees? How they have motivated employees to do more and more work? According to this system, wages are paid on the basis of work done and not on the basis of time spent in doing the work. In this system, two different wage rates are used. One is the high wage rate and the other is the low wage rate. Those workers who are able to produce the standard number of units within a fixed duration are paid as per the high wage rate, and those workers who are not able to produce the standard number of units within the same time are paid as low wage rate. For example, let the standard output per day, means in a day, be 20 units. Means a worker is going to do or produce 20 units in a day, and the two wage rates be 5 per unit and 4 per unit respectively. Worker A produces 20 units in a day, and in doing so he earns 100, that is 20 units into 5 per unit. Another worker B produces only 18 units in a day, and hence he will earn only 72, that is 18 units into 4 per unit. In this way, even though B has produced only 2 units less than A, the difference in their wages will be 28, that is 100 minus 72. As a result, less efficient workers will be motivated to work more, and efficient workers will be motivated to maintain their efficiency. Sixth technique is mental revolution. Mental revolution includes mindset of both the employers and workers. As per Taylor, a revolution in mindset of both the employers and the worker is required because it will promote feeling of cooperation and will be beneficial to both the parties. Normally it is seen that conflict between employers and workers results in division of profits, with both the parties demanding a larger share of profits. Mainly we have seen that the lockouts and the strikes are due to the profit sharing, division of profits. So this is the main reason why a mental revolution is required. According to Taylor, instead of fighting over division of profits, both the parties should make efforts for increasing the profits. Such a situation will result in an increase in production, and as such a high increase in profits that will make any talk of division of profits meaningless. So dear students, thank you for watching this video. Here are some of the links given. These links are the worksheet type for you. These are the online. When you copy down these links, you can able to attend it. I hope you will be doing well. Thank you.